He told me he loved me. He sent flowers. He called every morning. He made me feel alive again after 10 years of widowhood. And then he stole $200,000 from my retirement savings and disappeared. I'm 72 years old. My name is Dorothy Richardson, and I fell for what they call a romance scam. The man I thought was David Morrison, a retired engineer working overseas, was actually a professional con artist operating from West Africa. He targeted widows, elderly women, people like me who were lonely and vulnerable. But David made a critical mistake. He underestimated what a 72-year-old grandmother would do when she discovered the truth. What happened next put 7 scammers in prison, helped the FBI dismantle an international fraud ring, and created a network that's recovered over $15 million for elderly victims. If you've ever been scammed, if you've ever felt stupid for trusting someone, if you've ever been told you're too old to understand technology and that's why you got fooled, this story is for you. Hit that like button right now and subscribe, because what I did after losing everything proved that age isn't weakness, and experience is how you recognize patterns others miss. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to know how far this reaches, because elderly financial fraud is everywhere, and we're fighting back. It started on Facebook. A friend request from a handsome man in his 60s. Professional photo. Smiling. His profile said he was a civil engineer working on a project in Malaysia. Widowed 5 years ago. 2 grown children. I almost didn't accept. I'd heard about scams, but his profile looked real. Photos with family, posts about engineering, comments from friends. So I accepted. Within a week, we were messaging daily. Good morning, beautiful. How did you sleep? Tell me about your day. He was charming, attentive, interested in everything I said. After 2 weeks, he asked to video chat, but the connection was terrible, he said. Malaysia internet. Could we just do voice calls instead? I should have known. That was red flag number 1. But I was lonely, and he made me feel special. For 3 months, we talked every day. He told me about his life, his late wife who died of cancer, his daughter in medical school, his son running a business, his engineering projects building infrastructure in developing countries. He asked about my life, my late husband Tom, who died 10 years ago, my grandchildren, my volunteer work at the library, my garden. He remembered everything. Your grandson has a soccer game Thursday, right? How did your book club meeting go? Did the roses bloom? It felt real. He felt real. Then the crisis happened. Dorothy, he said, voice stressed, I need to tell you something. The company I'm working for, there's been a problem. They haven't paid me in 2 months. I have payroll to meet for my crew. Equipment payments due. If I don't pay, the project shuts down and I lose everything. I felt terrible for him. How much do you need? I asked. 50,000, he said. I know it's a lot, but I'll pay you back as soon as the company pays me. It's just a cash flow problem. They owe me 300,000. I hesitated. That's my retirement savings, I said. I know, he said. And I would never ask if it wasn't an emergency. But Dorothy, I'm falling in love with you. When this project finishes in 3 months, I'm coming home. I want to meet you, be with you, build a life together. This is temporary. We're building something permanent. I wired $50,000 to a business account he provided. For project expenses, he said. 2 weeks later, another crisis. Equipment broke down, needed emergency repairs, 30,000. I sent it. Another week. Crew threatening to quit without back pay. 20,000. I sent it. Then the big one. Dorothy, he said, I have incredible news. The company finally paid. All 300,000. But there's an issue. Malaysian banking regulations require large transfers to be verified. I need to pay a processing fee. 40,000. Then I can transfer everything to the US, including paying you back the 100,000 you loaned me, plus interest. I'll send you 150,000. 40,000 to get back 150,000? It seemed odd, but he'd been so consistent, so loving. 3 months of daily calls, and I'd already invested 100,000. What was 40 more to get it all back plus 50? I sent 40,000. Then he disappeared. No calls, no messages, Facebook account deleted, phone number disconnected, business account closed. I tried to find him. Searched his name, his company, His supposed project in Malaysia? Nothing. Every photo on his profile was stolen from someone else's social media. Every detail was fabricated. David Morrison didn't exist. I'd sent $140,000 to a stranger, and I had $30,000 left in savings. From $270,000 to $30,000 in 3 months. I was devastated, humiliated, furious, but mostly I felt stupid. How could I fall for this? I'm 72, not senile. I'd managed a household budget for 50 years, raised 3 kids, put them through college. How did I let this happen? I didn't tell anyone for 2 weeks. My kids would be furious. My friends would pity me. Everyone would think I was foolish, that I was too old to be online, that this proved I needed help managing my money. But then I saw a news report. FBI warning about romance scams targeting elderly Americans. Billions stolen annually. Victims often too embarrassed to report. Most never get money back. I called the number on screen. FBI Financial Crimes Unit. I told them everything. The agent was kind. Ma'am, you're the 5th call I've taken today with almost identical stories. This is organized crime. You didn't do anything stupid. You were targeted by professionals. We need details. Every transaction, every conversation, everything you remember. I gave them everything. Wire transfer records, saved messages, phone logs, photos from his profile. The agent said, "This matches a pattern we've been tracking. West African fraud ring. They run dozens of these simultaneously, target widows and widowers through social media. We're building a case. But I need to be honest. Recovery rate is less than 5%. I'm sorry, 5%. I'd lost $140,000 and would recover maybe $7,000. I felt sick. But then the agent said something that changed everything. Would you be willing to help us? Help how? I asked. Be bait, he said. If they contact you again, pretend you still believe them. String them along. We'll monitor everything, gather evidence, and maybe catch them. They'll contact me again? I asked. They always do, he said. Once they know you'll send money, they'll create a new identity and try again. Usually within a month. You're on their list now. I agreed. I wanted justice. 3 weeks later, I got a Facebook friend request. Different name, different face, same pattern. Engineer working overseas, widowed, charming. We started messaging. Within days, he was calling me sweetheart. Within 2 weeks, asking about my day. Within a month, talking about visiting when his project ended. The FBI was recording everything. They'd installed monitoring software on my computer with my permission, tracking IP addresses, tracing connections, building the case. Then came the ask. Dorothy, I'm in trouble. Equipment failure. Need money for repairs. $20,000. I told the FBI agent. Perfect, he said. Wire it. But this time, wire it to an account we control. We'll track where they move it. Make it look like you sent it to them, but actually send it to us, so they think you're still falling for it. I did. The scammer thanked me profusely, promised to pay me back, called me his angel. 2 weeks later, asked for more. $30,000 for crew payroll. I pretended to hesitate. I don't have much left, I said. Please, he begged. I love you. We're building a future. This is the last time. I pretended to send it. FBI tracked the money flow. From my fake transfer, they traced connections to 4 other similar scams, all running simultaneously, all from the same operation. They mapped the entire network. After 6 months of playing along, the FBI had enough. They'd identified 7 individuals. Locations in Lagos, Nigeria. Connections to money mules in the U.S. moving funds. A network that had stolen over $8 million from 43 elderly victims. Then they made arrests. International operation. FBI, Nigerian Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Interpol. 7 arrested in Lagos. 14 money mules arrested in the U.S. Evidence from my case was central to convictions. The trial happened 2 years after I first wired money to David Morrison. I testified via video link, told the whole story, how they'd manipulated me, made me feel loved, stole my savings. The defense tried to discredit me. Mrs. Richardson, you're 74 years old now. Are you sure you remember the details accurately? Your testimony about dates and amounts seems confused. I looked directly at the camera. I'm 74, not incompetent. I managed a family budget for 50 years. I have records of every transaction, every message saved, every phone log documented. My memory is fine. What's confused is how you're defending people who stole from 43 elderly people, $8 million, from widows and widowers, from people who were lonely and believed someone cared about them. I'm not confused. They're criminals. The jury agreed. All 7 convicted, sentences ranging from 8 to 15 years in federal prison, ordered to pay full restitution. But here's the reality of financial crime. They didn't have $8 million to return. They'd spent it. Luxury cars, houses, bribes, lavish lifestyle. The $8 million was gone. Victims recovered an average of 12%. I got $17,000 back from $140,000 stolen. $17,000, better than nothing, but devastating. I was left with $47,000 in retirement savings from $270,000. I'd lost 83% of my nest egg at 74 years old. But something else happened during that trial. I met other victims, 43 people who'd been scammed by the same ring. We exchanged information, emails, phone numbers, and we realized something. We all had details, patterns, information about how these scams worked. What if we used that to help others? One woman, Patricia, suggested we create a support group for scam victims to share information, warn others, help people report to FBI. We called it Silver Guardians, Seniors Protecting Seniors from Financial Fraud. We started meeting monthly at my local library, 5 victims initially, then 10, then 20. We created a website, shared common scam tactics, red flags to watch for, how to report to authorities, how to protect yourself. Within 6 months, Silver Guardians had 200 members across 3 states, all elderly people who'd been scammed or nearly scammed, all sharing information, all watching out for each other. We started tracking new scams in real time. Member in Florida reports new tactic. We alert everyone. Member in Texas spots suspicious pattern. We investigate together. We became a network. And we started working directly with the FBI. They'd call us when they needed someone to go undercover in a new sting. Elderly person to pretend to fall for scam. Gather evidence. Help catch criminals. I did 4 more stings over 3 years. Pretended to be wealthy widow. Pretended to fall in love. Pretended to wire money. Each time, FBI tracked criminals, built cases, made arrests. We helped catch 23 more scammers, recovered $4.3 million for victims, prevented an estimated $12 million in additional theft by warning potential targets. At 77 years old, I was an FBI informant, a volunteer scam buster, and I'd found a new purpose, but I wanted to do more. Silver Guardians was growing, 300 members now, but we were reactive, responding to scams after they happened, helping victims after they'd already lost money. I wanted to be proactive, prevent scams before they happened, so I started giving talks, local libraries, community centers, senior centers, churches. Title: How I Lost $140K and What I Learned. I'd tell my whole story, the shame, the manipulation, the devastation, and then I'd teach them the red flags I missed, the tactics scammers use, how to protect yourself, how to verify people online, what to do if you're targeted. Initially, I'd have 10 or 15 people attend, mostly women, mostly widows. Many of them said, "I almost fell for something similar," or "My friend lost money to a scam like this," or "Thank you for sharing. I thought I was the only one foolish enough." That last one broke my heart. You're not foolish. You're human. Scammers are professionals. They're sophisticated. They prey on normal human needs for connection and trust. After a year of talks, I'd spoken to over 800 people, started getting requests from other states. Could I come speak in Arizona? In Texas? In Pennsylvania? I couldn't travel to all of them, so I created a training program. I taught Silver Guardians members how to give the talk, created a presentation template, shared my story for others to present, trained 50 volunteers to present in their communities. Within 2 years, Silver Guardians volunteers had presented to over 12,000 seniors across 23 states. We estimated we'd prevented $35 million in fraud by educating people before they were targeted. Local news started covering our work. Then national news. Grandmother scammed out of $140K becomes FBI informant and scam prevention advocate. The story went viral. I received 5,000 emails in 2 weeks, people sharing their stories, asking for help, reporting suspicious activity. We couldn't handle the volume, so I partnered with AARP. They had infrastructure, resources, reach. We integrated Silver Guardians into their fraud prevention program. Now we had access to 38 million members. National platform, real impact. At 79 years old, I was traveling the country, speaking at conferences, training volunteers, working with FBI, helping draft legislation to protect elderly people from financial fraud. The Dorothy Richardson Senior Financial Protection Act passed in my state, requiring financial institutions to flag suspicious transactions involving elderly customers, mandating scam warning education at senior centers, creating elderly financial abuse investigator positions. Other states adopted similar legislation. Federal version introduced in Congress. All because a 72-year-old widow got scammed and refused to stay quiet. 8 years after losing my savings, I received an unexpected call. Mrs. Richardson, this is Agent Martinez from FBI Cyber Division. We've recovered assets from the operation that targeted you. I didn't understand. The trial was 8 years ago. The money's long gone. Not all of it, she said. We seized properties purchased with fraud proceeds, sold them, distributed funds to victims based on documented losses. You're receiving $53,000, I cried. Not because of the money, though $53,000 was significant, but because it was justice. 8 years late, but justice. With that money, I did something important. I donated $25,000 to establish the Silver Guardians Emergency Fund for scam victims in crisis. Woman loses life savings, can't pay rent. Emergency fund helps. Man scammed out of medical money, can't afford medication. Emergency fund assists. No judgment, no shame, just help. The fund helped 62 people in its first year, 220 in year 2. Now it helps over 400 annually. All because I got $53,000 back and chose to pay it forward. At 80 years old, I was invited to speak at a Senate hearing on elderly financial fraud. I told my story, but more importantly, I brought data. Silver Guardians had tracked scams for 8 years. We had patterns. We knew the tactics. We knew the vulnerabilities. We knew what worked to prevent fraud. I testified for 40 minutes, presented 15 policy recommendations, showed evidence that education reduced victimization by 70%, demonstrated that rapid reporting increased recovery rates by 300%, proved that elderly-led prevention programs were more effective than top-down institutional approaches, because we understood the psychology, the loneliness, the desire for connection, the trust that comes from someone showing genuine interest. 6 months later, Congress passed the Elder Justice Act expansion, $75 million in annual funding for scam prevention and victim support, elderly financial abuse investigator positions in every state, mandatory bank training on recognizing elder fraud, partnership programs between law enforcement and senior organizations. It was nicknamed Dorothy's Law by advocates. I didn't ask for that, but it meant my loss had meaning. My shame had become purpose. My victimization had protected others. The man who stole my money, the one who called himself David Morrison, served 12 years in Nigerian prison. Released last year. I don't know where he is now. Don't care. He took my money, but I took his power. He stole my savings. I stole his ability to hurt others. He made me a victim. I made myself a warrior. Before I continue, I need to ask you something. Are you still with me? Does this story matter to you? Have you or someone you love been scammed? Hit that like button right now if this resonates. It helps more people find this story. People who are being targeted right now. People who feel ashamed and don't know they can fight back. And subscribe to this channel. Every week we share stories of people over 50 who were knocked down and got back up fighting, who proved that age isn't weakness. That experience is power. Drop a comment and tell me, have you been scammed? Have you felt too embarrassed to report it? Have you been told you're too old to understand technology, so this is your fault? I want to hear from you. Because shame keeps victims silent, and silence protects scammers. Now back to what happened at 82. I received a message from a woman in Japan. Mrs. Richardson, my mother was scammed. She's 85, lost her entire savings, $230,000. She's too ashamed to tell family, too afraid to report to police. She saw your story online, asked me to contact you. Can you help? I called her mother. We spoke through her daughter translating. She told me the same story I'd lived. Romance scam, engineer overseas, emergency after emergency, money gone. I told her, you're not stupid, you're human, this is not your fault. These are professionals, and we can fight back. I connected her with Japanese authorities, with an FBI liaison who worked international cases, with Silver Guardians members who'd been through this. 3 months later, her case led to arrests. 5 scammers in Philippines, $2 million in assets seized. She recovered $80,000, and she joined Silver Guardians, started the first international chapter, Silver Guardians Japan. Now we had chapters in 7 countries, fighting scams globally, sharing information across borders, warning each other in real time. Scammer tries tactic in US. We alert Japan, UK, Australia, Canada, network effect. At 83, I wrote a book, The $140,000 Lesson, How Getting Scammed Made Me a Fighter. Not a bestseller, but it found its audience, sold 80,000 copies, used in senior center workshops, assigned reading and elder care programs, translated into 6 languages. Every copy sold, I donated $5 to Silver Guardians Emergency Fund, $400,000 over 3 years, helping victims rebuild. At 85, I received the Presidential Citizens Medal for extraordinary service in protecting elderly Americans from financial fraud. The citation read, Dorothy Richardson transformed personal tragedy into national impact. Her courage in sharing her story, her dedication to helping others, and her partnership with law enforcement have protected millions of seniors and recovered tens of millions of dollars. She proves that heroism has no age limit. I brought 40 Silver Guardians members to the ceremony, all of them victims who'd become advocates, all of them fighters. The president asked me, what drives you at 85 to keep fighting? I thought about that question. Then I answered, I lost $140,000 to someone who made me believe he loved me. That money was important. But what he really stole was my trust, my confidence, my sense of safety. I got the money back through fighting. Not all of it, but enough. But more importantly, I got back my power. Every scammer we catch, every dollar we recover, every senior we educate. That's me taking back what was stolen. Not just money, dignity. And at 85, I have more dignity than I did at 72. Because I chose to fight. The audience stood and applauded, but I wasn't done fighting. Silver Guardians continued growing. By my 87th birthday, we had 12,000 members across 19 countries. We'd helped investigate over 400 scam operations, recovered $37 million for victims, prevented an estimated $200 million in fraud through education. But scammers kept evolving. New tactics, new technology, AI voice cloning, deepfake videos, cryptocurrency scams. We had to evolve too. So I did something unconventional. I recruited tech-savvy younger people to help. My grandson, who worked in cybersecurity, joined our board. A 30-year-old data scientist volunteered to build fraud detection algorithms. A 25-year-old social media expert taught us how scammers used new platforms, intergenerational collaboration, seniors with experience recognizing manipulation tactics, young people with technical skills to track and stop scammers. Together, we built a fraud reporting app. Seniors could report suspicious messages instantly. AI analyzed patterns, flagged new scam tactics, alerted network in real time. Within a year, the app had 50,000 users, reported 12,000 suspicious contacts, led to 83 investigations, prevented an estimated $8 million in fraud. But my proudest moment came from something smaller. A woman called me crying. Mrs. Richardson, she said, I just got a message from someone who looks exactly like my late husband. Video message, his voice, his face, saying he's alive, that he needs money to come home. I know it's fake. It has to be fake. He died 3 years ago, but it looks so real. I heard pain in her voice, and rage. This is a new scam, I said, AI deepfakes. They steal photos and videos from social media, use AI to create fake videos, make dead people appear alive, target grieving spouses. It's cruel beyond words. She was silent. Then, how do they live with themselves? I don't know, I said, but we're going to stop them. We tracked that scam, found it was targeting 23 widows with deepfake videos of their late husbands, all asking for money, all claiming to be alive but trapped somewhere. We partnered with FBI's Technology Crimes Unit. They'd never seen this tactic before. We helped them understand how it worked, who was vulnerable, how to identify the source. 4 months later, arrests, 3 scammers in Eastern Europe, using AI tools to create deep fakes, targeting grieving families. Stolen $2.3 million from 18 families. We'd stopped them before they hit the other 23 targets. Those 23 families never knew how close they came to being victimized, but we knew, and that was enough. At 89, I slowed down, not by choice. Health issues, hip replacement, heart medication. Energy wasn't what it used to be. But Silver Guardians continued without needing me to run everything. We'd built systems, trained leaders, created sustainable structure. I transitioned from leading to advising, still gave talks occasionally, still worked with FBI when they needed elderly perspective on cases, still answered calls from victims who needed to hear from someone who understood. One call stands out. Mrs. Richardson, my name is Helen. I'm 76. I was scammed 6 months ago. Lost $90,000. I haven't told my children. I'm so ashamed. They'll think I'm losing my mind, that I can't manage my own finances anymore. I'm terrified they'll put me in a home. I understood immediately. The shame, the fear, the secret. Tell me what happened, I said. She told me a story almost identical to mine. Romance scam, engineer overseas, emergencies, money gone. When she finished, I said, Helen, I'm going to tell you something important. Your children love you. They won't think you're losing your mind. They'll think you were targeted by criminals. Because that's what happened. But the longer you wait to tell them, the harder it gets. And the harder it is to get help. You need to report this to FBI. Today. And you need to tell your family. This week. I can't, she said. I'll sound so stupid. Let me tell you what happened when I finally told my children, I said. I waited 3 months. When I finally told them, my daughter cried. Not because I'd lost money, because I'd carried that pain alone for so long. My son was angry. At the scammer, not at me. They asked why I didn't tell them sooner. I said I was ashamed. They said, Mom, you survived Dad's death. You raised us. You're the strongest person we know. Falling for a con artist doesn't change that. Helen was quiet. Then, did it change how they treated you? Did they think you couldn't handle your finances? No, I said. They offered help. I declined. But they respected my independence. Because reporting the crime and seeking justice proved I was still sharp, still capable, still fighting. That's not someone who needs to be in a home. That's someone who got knocked down and got back up. Helen reported it, told her family. They supported her. FBI investigated. And Helen joined Silver Guardians, started volunteering, helping other victims, turned her shame into purpose. That's happened hundreds of times. Victims becoming advocates, pain becoming power, shame becoming strength. At 90, I was still alive, still sharp, still fighting. Silver Guardians had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. 28,000 members, 42 countries, partnerships with Interpol, FBI, AARP, and national senior organizations in dozens of countries. We'd helped recover over $100 million for victims, prevented an estimated $500 million in fraud through education, assisted in prosecuting over 200 scam operations. But the work wasn't finished. Scammers kept evolving, and we kept adapting. The biggest change was technology. Scammers using AI, using cryptocurrency, using sophisticated social engineering. But we had something they didn't. We had experience. We had pattern recognition. We had a network of thousands of people who'd been targeted and learned to spot the signs. At 91, I gave my last public speech. Elder Justice Conference, 2,000 attendees. I was introduced as the founder of Silver Guardians, the woman who'd been scammed and turned it into a movement. I walked slowly to the podium, kneaded my cane, took a moment to catch my breath. Then I began. 19 years ago, I fell in love with a man who didn't exist. He stole $140,000 from me. I was 72, lonely, vulnerable, and I believed him when he said he loved me. For months, I was devastated, ashamed, certain I was stupid, that I'd failed, that this proved I was too old to manage my own life. But then I got angry. I decided that my pain would have purpose, that my loss would protect others, that my shame would become my strength. 19 years later, I'm 91 years old. I've worked with the FBI on over 30 cases. I've helped build an organization that's protected millions of seniors. I've recovered money for hundreds of victims. I've changed laws. I've proven that being targeted by criminals doesn't make you weak. Fighting back makes you strong. Age doesn't make you vulnerable. It makes you experienced. And experience is the greatest weapon against fraud. Because we've seen enough to know when something feels wrong. We've lived long enough to recognize patterns. We've survived enough to know we can survive this too. I'm 91 years old. I was scammed 19 years ago. And that scam was the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to me. Worst because it stole my savings. Best because it gave me purpose. I'm 91. I'm still fighting, and I'm not done. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes, but I didn't feel triumphant. I felt grateful that I'd survived, that I'd found purpose, that my pain had meant something. At 92, my health declined significantly. I couldn't travel anymore, could barely leave my house some days, but Silver Guardians continued, stronger than ever, run by capable people I'd trained. The movement had outgrown me, and that was beautiful. I spent my days answering emails from victims, offering encouragement, sharing my story, reminding them they weren't alone. One email changed everything. Mrs. Richardson, this is Special Agent Chen with FBI Cyber Division. The original David Morrison case from 2007. We've just arrested him again. He was released from Nigerian prison in 2019, deported to Ghana, and immediately started scamming again. New identity, new tactics, but same targets, elderly widows. He's victimized 11 more people in the last 3 years, stolen $420,000. We need your testimony to show pattern of behavior, to prove this is who he is. Will you help? I was 92, weak, tired, but I said yes. Testimony via video link from my living room, hospital bed visible in background, oxygen tank beside me, but my mind was sharp, my memory clear. I testified for 2 hours, told the story of David Morrison, how he'd manipulated me, stolen my savings, disappeared, how working with FBI had led to his first conviction, how 19 years later he was doing it again. The defense argued I was too old, memory unreliable, confused. I looked at the camera. I'm 92 years old. I remember every detail of what he did to me. I remember the flowers he sent, the phone calls every morning, the emergencies that needed money. I remember the shame when I realized I'd been fooled. I remember the anger that drove me to fight back. I remember helping FBI catch him 19 years ago. And I remember thinking, this will stop him. But it didn't. Because people like him don't stop. They're predators. They see elderly people as easy targets, as wallets, as fools. But we're not fools. We're survivors, and we fight back. He was convicted. 15 years in federal prison, no parole, complete restitution to all 11 victims, and lifetime ban from internet access after release. He'll be 84 when he gets out. Maybe then he'll understand what it's like to be elderly and vulnerable. But I doubt it. Predators don't develop empathy. They develop new tactics. At 93, I was in hospice care. Heart failure. Doctors said months, maybe weeks. My children were with me. Grandchildren visited daily. And Silver Guardians members came to say goodbye. One woman, Patricia, one of the original 5 who'd started Silver Guardians with me, sat beside my bed. Dorothy, she said, you changed my life. I was scammed in 2007, lost everything, felt worthless. You showed me I wasn't alone, that I could fight back, that my experience mattered. I've spent 15 years helping others because you helped me. I squeezed her hand. You helped yourself, I said. I just showed you it was possible. That's all any of us can do. Show each other it's possible. Reporters called, wanted final interviews. Elderly scam fighter Dorothy Richardson in hospice. I declined most, but one I accepted. Young journalist from the New York Times. She asked, "Mrs. Richardson, you've spent 19 years fighting scams. You've helped thousands of people, changed laws, built a movement. Was it worth it?" "Worth what?" I asked. "Worth the $140,000 you lost? Worth giving up a quiet retirement? Worth spending your 80s and 90s fighting instead of resting?" I thought about that question. Then I answered, "I lost $140,000 at 72. If I'd stayed quiet, that money would still be gone. But 19 years of fighting helped recover $100 million for others, prevented $500 million in fraud, protected millions through education, changed laws that will protect people for generations. Was it worth sacrificing quiet retirement?" I didn't sacrifice anything. I gained purpose. I gained community. I gained the knowledge that my pain prevented other people's pain. Yes, it was worth it. Every dollar lost, every hour spent, every speech given, every case fought, because I didn't just recover money. I recovered dignity, mine and thousands of others. The article ran with the headline, "The $140,000 that changed everything. Scam victim dies after 19 years fighting fraud." I hadn't died yet, but I knew it was close. 2 weeks later, I died, peacefully, surrounded by family, 93 years old. The funeral was attended by 300 people, family, friends, Silver Guardians members, FBI agents, AARP representatives, people I'd helped over 19 years. My daughter gave the eulogy. "My mother was scammed at 72, she said. Lost her retirement savings to a con artist who pretended to love her. Most people would have been destroyed by that, would have retreated into shame and isolation. Not Mom. She got angry. She got organized. She got even. She worked with FBI to catch the person who'd victimized her. Then she helped catch dozens more. She built an organization that's helped 28,000 members across 42 countries. She changed laws. She saved lives. She proved that age is power, not weakness. She was scammed, and she turned that into her superpower." The funeral program included a quote I'd said in interviews. "The scammer took my money. I took his power to hurt others. He made me a victim. I made myself a warrior. That's the trade I'll take every time." After the service, Silver Guardians held a memorial meeting. 200 members attended. They shared stories of how I'd helped them, of how the organization had protected them, of how they were continuing the work. One woman stood up. "I'm 82 years old," she said. "I was scammed 3 years ago. Dorothy helped me report it, get therapy, recover some money. But more than that, she showed me I wasn't stupid. I was human. And humans make mistakes. But we also fight back. I'm volunteering now, giving talks, helping others. Because Dorothy showed me that shame doesn't have to be permanent. It can become strength." That's her legacy. Not the money recovered, not the laws changed, not even the organization she built, but the idea that elderly people are fighters, that we deserve respect, that scamming us isn't easy money. It's picking a fight with people who've survived longer than you've been alive. We're still here, still fighting, still protecting each other, because Dorothy taught us how. Thank you for watching Dorothy's story. If it moved you, if it made you angry at scammers, if it gave you hope that fighting back is possible at any age, I need you to do something right now. First, smash that like button. It tells YouTube that stories of resilience and fighting back matter. It helps this reach people who are being scammed right now, people who feel ashamed and alone, people who need to know they can fight. Second, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Every week, we share stories of people over 50 who were knocked down and refused to stay down. Stories of turning pain into purpose, of proving that age is strength, not weakness. Third, share this video. Send it to elderly people you know. Post it in senior communities. Help spread the message that scammers target vulnerability, but victims can fight back and win. And finally, tell me your story in the comments. Have you been scammed? Has someone you love been victimized? Have you felt too embarrassed to report it? You're not alone. Dorothy's story proves that. 28,000 Silver Guardians members prove that. And every person reading this who's experienced this proves that. Scammers want you silent. Shame wants you hidden. Fear wants you paralyzed. But you have power. You can report to FBI. You can join support groups. You can help others avoid what you experienced. Remember Dorothy's story. She was 72 years old when a scammer stole $140,000 by pretending to love her. She felt stupid, ashamed, devastated. But she didn't stay quiet. She worked with FBI. She helped catch the scammer who'd victimized her and dozens more. She built an organization that recovered $100 million for victims and prevented $500 million in fraud. She changed laws that protect millions. She proved that being scammed doesn't make you weak. Fighting back makes you strong. That age isn't vulnerability. It's experience. And experience is how you recognize manipulation. If Dorothy could fight back at 72 while devastated and ashamed, you can too. Whatever you're facing, whatever was stolen, whatever shame you're carrying, you have power. Report it. Join support groups. Help others. Fight back. Dorothy Richardson was scammed at 72. She died at 93. And she spent those 21 years proving that scammers didn't just pick the wrong victim. They created their worst enemy. Your age is not weakness. Your experience is not obsolescence. Your voice can protect thousands. Use it. See you in the next story. Dorothy proved that getting knocked down isn't failure. Staying down is. Get up, fight back, win.